Hello everyone, this is today's dog walk. Only a bit of exercise today, I promise. Our dog is he's missing essentially, but he'll be back. And I thought, why not talk to people who have got something to do in the world of horse racing? So people in yards who are still busy, where time is still passing, there is still things to do. So I contacted Kim Bailey. Seemed fitting. He was the first person I met in the world of horse racing. In fact, one as a little fat kid, which he reminds me of, and asked him what life was like. He talks about the yard still going on, who is and isn't allowed in the yard, and what there is to do as we approach the end of the jumps season. Kim, who don't need me to remind you, oh, there he is a Grand National winning trainer, Gold Cup winning trainer, Champion Hurdle winning trainer, of course, and recent Cheltenham success he enjoyed back on the first day of the festival 3 weeks ago. Seems forever ago that. So let's get over to Kim. Here he is. Mr. Kim Bailey, I'm delighted to say, joins me, and you're very kind to lend your time to do so. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Tom. You're talking about lending time. You've got plenty of it at the moment. It's I don't think I've ever been as bored as I am. It's just it's a scary thought, really.
Well, I have greatly enjoyed reading your blog, Bailey's blog, which has been going for some time now. They're getting longer, the content, but I suppose that's a sign that you've got a bit of time on your hands. And in some ways, for all it's not a lot to talk about within racing, there is still a lot for you to cover.
It is. It's one of the things that my owners really appreciate, because at the end of it, it keeps them in touch on a daily basis what's happening in the yard. Obviously, I do talk about what's happening in the yard, and sadly, there are other things to talk about as well. You know, we're all going to lose friends or people we know during this terrible disease that's going through at the moment, and obviously, I shall put reference to them when need be. And yeah, it's a way of keeps my mind active, I suppose, in many respects as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, when I thought of speaking to people in the industry about what they're going through at home and what yards are looking like, I know how technically savvy you are, Kim. So I thought you were the perfect person for this. I think you were the first man in racing to really embrace the internet. How many daily views on the blog do you get now?
Well, and I hadn't dared look since we've had the lockdown, but normally we get 3,500, 4,000 people a day. And before Cheltenham, it went up quite dramatically. After Cheltenham, fine, I haven't dared look, because I mean, if I write my blog and only about 2 people reading it today, then I might give it up. But I get plenty of people saying, please don't.
Yes, well, quite right, because I know it gives a lot of people something to look forward to day in, day out. You mentioned Cheltenham, and we're recording this 3 weeks to the day after your most recent Cheltenham winner. That seems quite a long time ago, but I suppose an update on the horse. Has he been roughed off, Imperial Aura?
Yes, Imperial has been roughed off, and he's gone back to Kevin Ross in Northern Ireland, where he goes every summer. And he will spend the summer there, do his pre-training, and come back to us usually sort of first week in November. But he took the race very well, and I was very happy with it. He left here in fine fettle.
Good. For anyone that isn't aware of the expression roughed off, I know you've done this on your blog, but go on, indulge us. Roughing off exactly is what?
Well, roughing off is a very simple situation. If you convert it to human being terms, if I took you outside now, and not me personally, but someone took you outside, asked you to take your clothes off and stay where you were all day long,
that would contravene social distancing rules, I'm afraid.
It probably would be, wouldn't it? But no, we take the horses' rugs off, and the important thing is that when you do that, you don't shock them straight away. So you do it in a gentle situation. We also stop brushing them for the simple reason they need to get some dust and some oil into their coats, as you know, a bit of weatherproofing really, because during the winter they're brushed on a daily basis, and all that sort of goodness is taken away from them, so they shine beautifully when they get to the races. So we take their rugs off during the day, put one back on at night to get them used to having a rug off during the day, and then gradually we'll remove that one at night, and they will then go out to grass fully acclimatized to the cold weather, with a fair amount of dirt and dust in their coat to protect them against what the weather throws at them.
Has it been difficult for you to get those winter horses out to places sooner than would have been expected, or has it been thankfully relatively easy for you?
Well, the annoying thing is that I've still got most of them sitting in the stables at the moment, because you know, grass hasn't really grown. You know, we had a frost again last night. We had a frost every single night now for the last 4 or 5 days. Grass is not growing, and I'm sure most people who have mowed their lawn noticed it hasn't moved much further since they last mowed it. We need spring grass. It's not spring yet. The clocks have just changed. We need warm weather, Once we get warm weather, then the grass will grow, and then we can turn them out en masse, which should be good. But at the present moment in time, I haven't got the room to turn them out all in one big field and keep feeding them. So I need the grass to grow.
There are regular updates for anyone that is aware of what you do every morning of pictures in the yard. It still looks a very active yard, but I'm sure things have changed dramatically. I suppose personnel must be a big thing. Is it the case that you can't have outsiders, if you like, coming into the yard?
Well, we got a hostel that sleeps 12. It's a modern hostel, and they all got their individual bedrooms, which is quite important for them for obviously what's happening at the moment. So we don't allow anybody outside the yard to come in. So the likes of David Bass is now not allowed to come and ride out. Chester Williams has gone home. So basically, we are reliant on the staff who are still with us. We are sending various members of staff on their holiday. Obviously, they get paid holiday for work in the winter, but sadly, Corfu and places like that are off the bucket list this year. So one or two will probably stay with me because there's nothing else to go to, or they don't necessarily wish to go home for reasons, obviously, family are isolated where they are. And then we have the furlong situation where in time we can lay people off and the government pays us towards it and helps everybody as far as the business is concerned. But, you know, I've got 12 living on site at the moment, and therefore we've got about 8 or 9 riding out. But we need to, once we start getting rid of the horses, we'll start taking the stables apart, taking them bedding out, steam cleaning everything and painting. So there's actually plenty to do.
Mm. And with regard to, I mean, you'll still have some summer horses, will you, that you will hope to get out if, when racing does resume, for all we're not certain when that's going to be?
Yeah, theoretically, I will have about 15 to run through the summer. And which is slightly more than I would do normally, but we've got plenty of horses that didn't run at all last winter, and I feel sorry for the owners. They've been sitting waiting for that magical moment when we hit the 1st of May to set on the new season. So ever hopeful it will take part for them, but I'm slightly concerned that I don't think it will. But you know, we are as a sport trying our hardest to get it going, but at the same time we are reliant on what the government lets us go and do.
Mm. Just with regards to sort of social distancing and that, with regard to the sport that we're in and that you're in every day, how difficult is it at home to implement some of those social distancing requirements, and how far can you go with it?
Well, it's not the easiest because at the end of it, you have to leg a person onto a horse. You can't. Certainly, girls they're not capable of jumping on a horse, so they need legging up on it. So that you are automatically touching somebody to leg them on. We try as much as we possibly can. You know, we have people spaced out so they're not mucky out in next door stables. We don't rotate the yard because at the end of it, we haven't got enough staff to go and do it, and we haven't got enough accommodation to go and do it. So, you know, we have everybody out at the same time. We've got 2 barns, so the yard is separated in 2 bits, and we have half the staff in one and half in the other. So we do as much as we possibly can. And obviously, when they're riding out, they ride out apart. But then again, having said that, when they're working together, they work together, but there's plenty of air between them.
You just got to put the really good horses with the slightly slower ones, and therefore social distancing fulfills itself. How, lastly, just on the jump season compared to, say, the flat season, right? This has happened towards the end of the jump season. I mean, in some ways, do you look at your flat counterparts and think, not knowing when it's definitely going to resume would almost be worse? At least you've been able to get a season, and now you're going into the summer months when you'd be quieter anyway.
Well, I think we've been incredibly lucky, if we want to put it that way, that this has happened when it has happened for us, because we would certainly be, by the time we get to the end of April, look towards roughing most of our horses off. I feel incredibly sorry for the flat boys, because at the end of it, they spend all winter preparing their horses to get going, and you've got the classics just around the corner. A lockdown of any description can only be detrimental to them. It's going to be a nightmare for their summer. And, you know, the horses need selling, horses need moving on. There's so much that's going to be affected by what's happening, but the flat boys are the boys who are really going to suffer most.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's hope the next time I see you is on a race course. I sincerely hope.
Well, let's hope that beard hasn't gone grey by the time we get there.
It's a worry, isn't it? Actually, am I still ahead of Matt Nichols?
You're still ahead of Matt Nichols. You've actually been. I think because you're younger, you're more virile than he is. He's definitely suffering at the moment.
He will hate you for saying that, whether he watches this or not. I'll make sure he hears it. Kim, really appreciate you joining me. Hope everything kicks on as well as it can at home, and good luck for when we're racing again.
Tom, a pleasure speaking to you as always. Thank you very much.